Okay, it's time for bookshelf tour number 3. We've actually jumped down a couple of shelves. There's DVDs and penguins up there, but we'll just go. Well, I'm trying to put the penguins back where they should go, so we'll just get into what books are on this shelf. Start off with a couple of British authors: Beryl Brainbridge, The Birthday Boys, and what's that one? And Injury Time, of which I think I've read them. There is that special thing of female British authors of a certain age that they can write little tiny novels like this, which somehow actually contain within them much of what a one of the more bloated male authors would take 500 pages to do, which I heartily agree with. And apparently, I bought The Birthday Boys for 49 cents, which is really awesome. Um, ah, Actually, a British author who didn't go in for the bulk. This is J.G. Ballard, who I talked about earlier, and I'm pretty sure this is a collection of his short stories. Another one of his collections of short stories, Disaster Area. I can't remember. I think I've read it. Probably have. Science fiction author, 70s literary kind of that. At least that's my impression of him. 70s kind of literary sci-fi, which is quite good, quite good stuff. See, this is why this is going on this channel. Joseph Conrad. I've got Victory and The Secret Agent. Victory, Nostromo I've read, or Victory, I may have not even read these two. I've read Nostromo, and I've definitely read Heart of Darkness a couple of times. Actually enjoy his writing. I know that others say he's a bit clunky in his writing. For somebody whose first language isn't English, I thought actually he's pretty good at his some of the structuring of stuff. Obviously, he's a writer of his time, and there's lots of things with colonialism in a lot of works, the Heart of Darkness being one of them, but I think that probably makes it all the more valuable as a document that way, as well as just one of these archetypal stories of the man going down the river story. Well, that's the Heart of Darkness. That's not either one of these. I really want to read The Secret Agent at some point and see that one. I think that one came up a lot after 9/11 because it's got a lot to do with terrorist activity. Then I've got a whole bunch of Louis McMaster Bujold. I guess this is where it went. I've got one of her fantasy novels that I have not read. Young Miles, which is probably the other Verkosian book that I have actually read of adventures of young Miles Verkosian in science fiction, in a very much kind of military science fiction, but military science fiction with a character who has disabilities and is able to use the disabilities and also just the challenges that kind of hones him to succeed. So yeah, really, really good books. I've got, there's another, Cordelia's Honor. That's to do with her, with Miles's mother and father. Cordelia being, I believe, the mother, which, yeah, she's like a really main character in those books. I really enjoyed those. We've got a series that I bought, but then, of course, embarrassingly have not actually read, which I believe they're all of one series, is Elizabeth Bear, that being Chill, Grail, and Carnival. Maybe Carnival is not. Yes, on a renegade planet ruled by an armed, educated, highly evolved women, two secret agents living a lie discover a power no man can touch. Don't know. I think that might actually be separate. Carnival might be separate from the other ones. I should really actually try Elizabeth Bear since I have 3 of her books. Okay, here, I'm going to take those off there before they fall down. Actually, we've got 2 G.K. Chesterton books. I've got a collection of his essays somewhere, which I love his essays. I read, he also did, I can't remember what the name of that other book was. I really love his essays. This is a fantastical tale, so I found some of his fiction a little less kind of satisfying. I might give it a try. And Club of Queer Trades. I think it's a collection of short stories. I can't remember, but I love his. I've got a collection. I think it's edited by Alberto Manguel of his essays, which I really enjoy. Just like nonfiction kind of Montaigne essays are really fun. Hal Clement is one of these science fiction authors' names I've heard a lot of. He's like think is definitely kind of more the golden age of science fiction. This is Ice World with kind of one of those classic covers. Want to give them a try. Then I've got my Don Quixote collection of. They talk about classics that you are just too intimidated to get to, or you try and you bounce off of, and it's definitely Don Quixote in his various editions, various translations. Part of it was like, I keep on buying different translations. Now this, I believe, this is the most modern one, and probably the one that seems to be like, if you're gonna give Don Quixote a shot, this is the one to do. This is the one that is translated by Edith Grossman, with an introduction by Harold Bloom. Well, that's not a very good Harold Bloom imitation, but yeah, I hear that he is. This is the one to actually. If I'm going to try it, I will try it this way. Then we get to. See, I get physically to a certain point, and I just can't hold up the camera anymore. We got Storm Considine, who is just like the coolest name for an author ever. Is Storm Considine. Rathusula, which. In this powerful and elegant story set in a future Earth very different from our own, a new kind of human has evolved to challenge the dominion of Homo sapien. This new breed is stronger, smarter, and far more beautiful than the parent race, and are endowed with psychic as well as physical gifts. They are destined to supplant humanity as we know it, but humanity won't die without a struggle. And I get the sense of, this is very much, how do I put it? Alternative culture, alternative in the sense of kind of like the gay and lesbian, bisexual, queer community. That I get that kind of a feel from this kind of science fiction of we're going to imagine a different society, a society where, you know, perhaps people of difference that aren't just sort of straight in all the senses can exist. And I think that probably includes a lot more of us than you would think just from the numbers and just by looking at people on the street or on your videos. So yeah, I thought that was good. Here, I'll finish off with John Crowley, Little Big, which is a book I've heard is really great, and I've never cracked it open. I have this book. Let's see how is the text. The text is probably so small now that I probably can't read it because I've left it too long. So that's a lesson, kids. If you don't do that, you'll develop cataracts, and you won't be able to read all your tiny little paperbacks. Sensual and exuberant, wise and witty, here is John Crowley's World Fantasy Award-winning masterpiece. This is the saga of the remarkable Drinkwater family, the sparkling inhabitants of Edgewood, and the ever-changing house that sits on the border between what we know is real and what we always hope is real. So yeah, so that's Little Big, which, again, I should really get to. All right, there, I've emptied out my bookshelf. I gotta put it all back. That is bookshelf tour number 3. We'll get to the other half of this bookshelf in the next video.